Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Town of Exeter Arts and Culture Advisory Commission meeting on Tuesday, October 22nd, 6:30 p.m. Do I have to say who's present?
They can introduce themselves.
Okay. Why don't we start down here?
Mary Page Provost.
Tony Calandrello.
Florence Ruffner, who's not recording secretary.
Scott Ruffner.
And Bruce Jones.
And Nancy Belanger, I'm the Select Board Representative.
And David Tovey, Exeter Parks and Recreation Representative.
Okay. All right, guys. So first up, we've got Discussion of permanent meeting schedule. We had committed to the fourth Tuesday of the month, which we're here for. I did reach out to Dawn, who said she's got some commitments right now around this time, but it won't be a permanent conflict for her to be here. So we can all chime in, but it seems like if this is what we committed to before, and if this is what works for XTV, that
Is Dawn the only other person?
Don is the only, yes, Don is the only other active member. Bruce is now permanent member, so it's us and Don. So,
No,
Gee-
Scott. Scott's gone. I've lost track.
I'm Scott.
I'm sorry.
Todd.
Todd.
Todd's gone, Marissa's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, so does this still work for everybody?
Works for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so then I guess we'll keep the schedule as is for fourth Tuesdays. All right, that's that. Moving on to commission officers. So we need to figure out, is this basically for the next year, what we're going to do?
Well, you need to do it for now to April,
Okay,
because right now you're the vice chair, but acting chair
Right.
because the chair resigned.
okay,
So you need to vote on a chair and
Okay.
a vice chair and a clerk or a secretary to take the meeting.
okay. So, yeah, I don't know how that proceeds.
Somebody just
I'm
nominate.
I'm acting chair. I'm doing it.
I nominate Scott to be
Okay.
the
That's how
chair.
it starts.
I second that.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay, so all in favor of Scott being the chair, carrying on, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Great.
And then you have to ask if anyone is not in favor
Oh, is anyone not in favor
or abstain.
or abstain? All right.
Congratulations, Scott.
Rah, rah. Okay.
Congratulations,
So now we need
Scott.
someone to be the vice chair. Are there any nominations?
Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like since you were the chair before, you kind of know more about the procedural stuff.
Sure.
I'm very reliable. I'll be here most of the time. Okay, I nominate Tony Calandrello for vice chair.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstaining? All right,
You're going really fast. I'm not keeping up here.
Tony's vice chair. Most important position, secretary,
Oh, no, I'm not doing
note
it.
taker.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not good at that.
So before you go any further, can I just interrupt you?
Mm-hmm, yep,
So the other thing that didn't happen is
Yep.
that you guys voted to make Bruce a full member, but the email didn't get to the select board. Because you probably didn't know you needed to do that.
Okay.
So if you guys, in case Bruce decides to be secretary, right now, he's not a full member.
Okay.
But if you send that email out like tomorrow,
okay,
it will be on the agenda for Monday night, and then we can, it's just a formality
okay.
to make.
So this is an email that goes from
It just has to go to.
the meeting, the
Nico.
secretary who lets the select board.
You, as now chair.
Okay.
Would send an email to Nico, the chair of the select board, and you would CC Russ, and let them know that the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee has voted to have Bruce Jones as a full member.
Okay,
And then they just vote on it, and it's done.
okay, sounds good.
So see, Bruce, you can't even offer to be the secretary.
Oh, man.
You're out of the pageant.
Or they can just table that appointment until next meeting.
I mean, I have a nomination in mind, but,
Wait a minute, the secretary's already behind. I got the vote to nominate you for chair. What do we vote on after that?
Me as vice chair.
Oh, all right, Tony vice chair, okay.
This is
And
like
who
how if
made
you
the
break the
motion?
dishes,
Mary Beth.
they don't ask you to.
Mary Page,
Scott
They don't
made
ask
the
you to-
motion.
who made, Mary Page made the motion?
Scott.
No, Scott made the motion for
Okay,
Tony.
Second.
Wait, Mary Page
I
made the
second.
motion?
No.
Second,
She
okay.
seconded.
All right. Told you I'm no good at this. All right, and then who made the motion for Bruce?
Well, we have to withdraw that.
that's
because
already
he's not a
done.
Yeah,
member.
there is no.
Oh, all right, okay, we're
Nancy was
good.
just pointing it out to us, what we need to do.
Okay, gotcha.
Scott needs to send an email.
All right, gotcha. All right.
Okay, so is the title secretary or clerk, or what is the proper title?
I think it's
Either.
clerk.
Okay.
but-
Is anyone interested in being the clerk? You can't be. Okay, why don't we table that until the next meeting and move on? At least we have a couple officers in place here. Okay, moving on to Public Art and Hawk Bench. Bruce and I have been in touch with Joe Gray, the sculptor who made the Hawk Bench, that we already went through the whole process of getting approval for the placement in Stewart Park. Stewart Park, is that what it's called, David?
Down by, yep, Swayze, yeah, Stewart.
Stewart, okay. So we're going to try to work with him to make this happen in the next week or so. And if we can't do that, then we're going to try to work with someone else to get this done sort of this season before snowfall. This is something that was already approved and everyone's great with the location, so we just want to make it happen and get that done. So hopefully that will be accomplished one way or the other in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if anyone else has anything further on public art. We had discussed Townhouse Common. I do know that there's been some discussion, it's very preliminary, but with the new Pocket Park, that's certainly on their radar of there being a public art element to that park. So again, I don't know if anyone else.
Is that moving forward, or what's happening there?
With that park?
With that park?
Yeah, it's moving forward. I mean, there's a committee that's overseeing it and doing studies and getting a sense of what the community's looking for. But I do know that having a public art element is certainly something that's,
That they're interested in?
yeah, that's part of the conversation, yep.
So Scott, can I just add
Yeah,
in?
yeah.
So now there's public comment, and there'll be site walks, there's a scanning code. It's not kind of out in the public, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to put your ideas.
Yeah, okay.
At Budget Friday, I think it was, Amanda Kelly said that she'd put something out there the night before at like 9:30, and by the next morning when she woke up, there were 117 responses.
Oh, nice,
So,
okay.
just keep an eye out for public comment announcements and where you can do it.
Okay. Okay.
Scott,
And
I
this is
think-
just for Pearpoint, correct?
That's
Yeah,
just for
okay.
PowerPoint.
Scott, I think we should put on the agenda, or at least as a priority, reaching out as this traffic study, especially the relocation or the reconfiguration of Front Street where it intersects High Street. If that area between the bandstand and the town hall will become public space, I don't know where that stands, but there ought to be a public art component of that, or at least an arts and culture component of that, to tie the bandstand into the town hall.
Yeah, and if that goes anywhere, that would be great, but that was not a priority.
Right.
There were certain things that the board instructed to move forward with the next phase of getting more information. It was expressed that we like the look of it. It was a general expression, it was pushed in the way back. It's not right for anything like that, but definitely keep an eye on it for
Yeah,
that.
well, I just, that
No,
if that does,
absolutely.
yeah, if that does move forward, I think.
The article was a little confusing, so that's why I wanted
Okay.
to weigh in.
So
Yeah, I was a little confused on what's happening there. What do they want to build, a green space there?
So the parking pedestrian study, there were a lot of, at the last select board meeting, I encourage everyone to watch it and not just read the article. That came up. One of the suggestions was a possible, I keep calling it a green space, but it could be anything. And it would just be from the town hall to the bandstand.
Right.
Just to make it a little downtown public park, but there's a lot of vetting that would have to be done.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
like the look of it, you know, everyone loves the look of green space.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really pushed in the back, but who knows where it can go?
Yeah.
The town would have to vote on it anyway, but
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So I get, my question, I guess, Nancy, is going forward, as these new things come up in town where public art or any kind of, anything that falls under our umbrella and we're just sort of trying to monitor it, I mean, is it pretty much to make sure we're discussing it here for you to hear it so that when you give your update with the select board that you can then say, hey, these guys, you know, had some interest, so that it's just a dialogue, because I think that's where you're going, Tony. Same
Yes.
other, like, how do we do this in a protocol that it just keeps the conversation going and lets the select board know that, you know, it's something that we're going to talk about and would love to see, you know, a public art
So the way I look at
component.
my role, this is my second meeting
Yep.
with this group. The way I am trying to ease into this to see what you are all looking to do.
Yep.
I update the select board, and in turn, it's supposed to be to update the town of what's happening in our different assigned committees.
Yep.
If I think something's coming, might be coming up the pike, so to speak, that you might want to weigh in, I would come to you and let you decide that. But
Okay.
that, what you brought up about the bandstand, but the space between the bandstand and the town hall is so far out that, of course, if it became more up the chain, more of a priority, I would bring it up. If that's what you want my role to be.
Okay.
Is to say, hey, this might be happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think
And
it's
do
helpful.
you want to weigh in?
It's helpful for us to feel, you know, to know that
Yeah, not
the
everyone
rep is
watches
coming
all
in
the
and.
meetings like
Right,
I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if
Okay.
that's what you would prefer me to do, I would be happy to do that.
Yeah, the purview of this board and the responsibility is to make recommendations to the select board regarding arts and culture activities, installations, projects within the town. And we see it, at least as our charter, is when the town does do a project, if we can incorporate some arts and cultural element in it, that would be great.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything on public art? I know we were, the crosswalks and.
I know.
and all that, and I
It's
just,
a little stalled. I know Dawn was working
Yeah.
on vinyl stuff. I just haven't, and going into the winter, we're not going to do any
Yeah.
crosswalks now, so.
yeah, I mean, my last recollection
Mm-hmm.
was we kind of hit that skid where we heard that it, in the
It didn't
Amesbury.
stick. Yeah,
that, like,
it seemed like a lot
the
of work
paint
for.
wasn't, you know, which.
Yeah.
If we're going to go to all that trouble, we don't want.
And we weren't
something-
sure funding-wise where the money was going to come from, and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have town hall studies and future use. I mean, we kind of went through that, and I think we were just trying to figure out where we're at with those studies sort of being ready for public
And I always sent my
consumption
email
and
to
promotion
you.
and all of that. Yep.
Yeah, and I was here the next day. And so, yes, Tony has that document because he's on a subcommittee of sorts. That's not for public yet. That's why it's not posted anywhere.
Okay.
They're still vetting through that.
Okay.
So what's not posted?
The study that was done.
Okay, yeah.
So the study was submitted.
Yeah, right.
And committee members have it, and Tony's on the subcommittee. So she's just saying that they're vetting through the study, and then it will eventually, you know,
That was
be
my
posted.
first look at
Yeah,
it
yeah.
from a
Yeah,
distance. So they were wondering why it wasn't out, posted anywhere publicly yet. And it's because it's still being vetted at this level, at the town office level.
Nancy, was there any discussion of funding, or, I know it's not part of the capital
No, I
improvement
didn't
plan.
ask those questions because it's still being vetted, so I'm not going to. It will know, the select board will know, and you'll know, we'll all know at the same time when it gets presented.
Okay.
Because this is probably like the third study the town's like paid for to.
I definitely feel like we've been in a holding pattern with making that a more usable space, especially for arts and culture in the community since we started this in COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
But remember that
I
OSHA,
understand the reason for making a major plan, but it's like, you know, it's like a huge wish list, I think. You know, I think you make priorities there, you know, like, you know, to get the place up and,
Well, I mean, we are doing that. We've done some things with chairs, but I would
Right.
also argue that if we're going to do this, let's do it right, let's do it once. And I think at the end, we'll have a facility that we'll really be proud of. And I understand, Nancy, that that study is not available to the public because it hasn't been approved. I'm not sure what it takes to get that through the next step.
They're working on it, that's all
Okay.
I can tell you.
Okay.
There's a lot going on, and everything kind of happens as quickly as possible. But can I just add, just remember that OSHA, we had a problem and we had to shut down the gallery and
Yep.
stuff.
Right.
So until the money was found and those concerns were fixed, all of that came to a standstill, so.
I think maybe a question or discussion for next meeting, maybe can we become a little more active in the next steps? Because I know there is this subcommittee, but then that subcommittee, I don't think has met in a really long time, right?
Not
So-
since May.
Okay. So, you know, I mean, we're certainly looking for things that we can sink our teeth into that are not sputtering little projects. So,
Right.
and Tony's so involved that, you know, if we can help be involved in any way possible.
I'm here again tomorrow morning at
Hey,
8 o'clock,
okay.
so I'll see what I can find out about where it's at, what the projected timeline is. But I can't, you know, I don't want to speak to something
Gotcha.
I'm really not.
I mean, I think we're certainly the right body to spearhead. Once it's vetted and once it's ready for public consumption, like,
Right,
all
it'll
right,
be used
let's,
facility.
yeah, let's get it out there and let's really get the
Parks and
discussion
Rec,
going.
There'll be a lot of
Okay.
committees and boards that will be weighing in, departments.
Okay. All right, everybody good on that?
yeah.
Update on unused chair dollies at Town Hall. The fun topic.
They're gonna be
yeah.
either used by another department or surplus, and then once they're sold, and then Greg is looking into options for smaller ones that are actually usable.
Okay, for the
I have
space.
no update other than what I sent you in the email.
Okay,
Unless Dave has one.
No,
Okay.
that's the one I got.
Not to put you on the spot,
Yeah.
Toby.
okay, we've got update on large Town Hall signboard, which we discussed for a bit at the last meeting.
you
Different digital options.
Get
Sorry,
the
go ahead.
information that I sent you about the
Yes,
dairy?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we
I
shared
wasn't
that,
sure.
we
Okay.
shared that with everybody. Bob Glowacki had shared some stuff too. There's one in Portsmouth that was very similar.
The Kittery one or Portsmouth?
No, Portsmouth, I can't remember exactly who it is, but I think it's, I don't know if it was Parks and Rec that works maybe with the school system. You know, it was kind of a town-wide events, you know, kind of thing, but it looked similar to what you shared. So we kind of kicked that around, you know, for that space and,
I do see them everywhere now. Now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, I do see them everywhere. And it seems like there's a company, Daktronics, D-A-K-Tronics, that seems to do a lot of them. But I was in Sanford, Maine, and every school had one
Yeah.
announcing something. The classes were, it was Parent-Teacher Day, and then the town hall there has one as well, or City Hall.
and a lot of them do seem to be designed into
Right.
frames or signage that's, you know, historic or in.
Granite.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought the Dairy Opera House one looks very similar to like.
To what we have there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they said that they worked with ProSource Signs and Dairy and it was fantastic, great experience. They just said it was, it was pricey.
Okay.
Who controls that sign? Is that Parks and Rec, Dave?
If it's the one I'm thinking of.
The
one
large
that-
signboard, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
can reserve it. So yeah, we permit it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an outdated permitting process. That's a lot of work for those guys. It's a lot of work for.
You mean across the street?
Yes.
the town hall, yeah. It-
Oh, I
you know,
thought that was the highway department that did that.
No, we're talking about the signboard, the big signboard
Next to
right
the
outside of
town
town
hall.
hall.
The marquee
The one
type.
that's got the Lions Club auction on it right now.
But doesn't the guy from,
Florence, you're right. It used to be the DPW. was
Yeah,
changing
yeah.
it out. They're looking at
Okay,
changing that
yeah.
because
Because what's the guy's name from DPW that usually changes the sign?
I don't know, but that's
I
already.
only know because I asked.
We've already
Yeah.
moved on from that where
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
everybody's
that's what I was
kind of
thinking,
doing their
wait a
own
minute.
thing, and so it's definitely a system that needs to be
Fine-tuned.
fine-tuned, probably on a temporary basis and then
Okay.
a long-term basis.
So what's the next step? Is the next step to get quotes for
I
this?
would think, right?
Yeah, I would say getting real numbers and projections for a long-term solution with something like digital, and then maybe even in the meantime, my personal opinion is that I think there's a way, if it goes to digital, then it's going to be something where, it's events, it's the town deciding, and Portsmouth does something similar on their website with community events and all that. So even if it becomes the digital sign, there's going to have to be a system for what goes there, and maybe there's a temporary that is sort of a landing sign for this is where we're going, go here for community events, and then eventually we get to a digital sign where the actual information for the events.
Yeah, I
is
mean, I would
scrolling.
suggest, as a matter of process, of, let's get a quote or something, so we at least have an indicative cost, but there's a procurement process we have to go through with the town. And then make a recommendation and a presentation at a select board meeting saying, maybe we'd have to take a vote on it, but the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission recommends the town pursue the installation of a digital signboard to advertise advertise town events, and say we believe the ballpark cost is this. We've gotten one quote, but that we understand you need to go through a procurement process.
Because doesn't Sharon's son-in-law or something, she told me before that he runs a place up in Portsmouth.
Sharon Marson, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's local companies
Yeah.
that do this, so we can certainly get quotes.
You
yeah.
get a cost idea to,
Right, I think, but we need to make a recommendation.
Wouldn't you be involved, Parks and Rec be involved in the quoting, getting the quotes?
We could be, yeah,
I
definitely.
would imagine, just
Yeah,
because they know the budget process,
Yeah.
what they'd be looking for specifically in the quote.
Yep.
Not to throw more work.
But,
at you,
again,
I think that would make sense.
I think we're just advisory, so I think what we can do is make a recommendation, presentation to the select board at some future meeting and look for a vote, whether it's up
We're
or
always going to
down.
be asking you the cost. The select board is always going to be asking
Right.
the cost.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I think we've already been kind of pooling information, and it's been something that's been discussed here and outside of, so I think maybe we work collectively with Parks and Rec and
Yeah.
pull this all together with at least a preliminary one sheet
Right.
that we can then kick
yeah.
around and then.
So any procurement, any cost, a department head or someone in that department would be facilitating that.
Okay.
Of course, with your input. I'm just
Right.
saying you'd want the department head or somebody assigned in that department.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that sounds like a plan to me.
so how do we go forward on that? How do we get a cost for,
Well, I think there's a few different companies that
Okay.
have been referenced. I think we can reach out to those companies. We can, I think anyone that has done some preliminary research, I think Greg has maybe done a little bit here and there. I know Bob Glowacki reached out to the city of Portsmouth to get a sense of some of the things that they've done. So I think if we kind of pool,
Yeah. So
Everyone's
if you could get all
resources
that
and
information
then,
together
yeah.
And send it to Parks and Rec.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
then they could
and then,
proceed.
yeah, and then get some hard numbers from some of
so
these
if I
companies.
reach out to somebody, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go over and measure that sign over there and say it's gonna be,
Well, it doesn't have to be in those
Doesn't have to
parameters.
be.
I think
Like,
we're.
I'm going to use the Dairy Opera House one as an example with ProSource. Like, if we wanted to get something like this, what would a quote be on that?
Yeah, and that frame, obviously, we're not
yeah.
locked into that
Right.
frame. so
I was
it's
just wondering how you got a quote, it's like, I want one 4x8, or,
Right.
6x10 or,
Right.
what,
Well,
whatever.
I think all of the above, I think we can probably come to some numbers on different options.
Yeah, I mean, we can ask them what they've done for other towns.
Yeah.
My guess is it's like a 4x6 or something,
Yeah, right.
so.
And
I mean,
is
we don't
this-
want a football stadium.
Yeah. That's why I was just like, I'm sure they quote it by
Yeah.
size,
Yeah.
it's like,
Like, yeah.
What have you all, like, what's the dairy one look like? Because I've seen signs that are like red and black, like, a two-color type thing. I've seen some that are multicolor, like,
I think the
High
dairy
definition.
one was, I
It's
think it was
multicolored.
multicolored.
okay. So that's something about quotes too. They're gonna, I'm
Right.
sure there's.
Right,
Huge
the
range.
difference
Fancy
between
it,
actually being
please.
able to project
There's a few on there.
graphics and then just more
Oh, that's
Text.
interesting.
letters and text.
And
Got
some
it.
symbols.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't- it's-
That looks pretty huge.
It's not, it's on a hill. It's not that big.
Oh,
I mean,
it
that's-
just looks big.
I
Yeah.
zoomed in. You can unzoom.
Yeah, that's smaller than what we have out there.
Yeah. I think if you look at it from,
So, yeah, I think ultimately it would save
Oh,
some,
yeah, it's more in proportion, yeah.
save some labor.
Thank you.
We wouldn't have to put the flashing sign out on Portsmouth Avenue all the time to advertise the Halloween parade or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, that would be out there
I would
anyway.
think there'd be some organization with, Glowacki, because he would run it. So you'd have to submit it to him, right? And then he would put it, but whatever.
I don't think that's decided yet.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
think that,
that, Bob would.
Yeah,
know.
that, I'm going
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
right.
Well, I think it would just be a fusion.
But whatever,
a
just to
fusion
get a
of what's
quote for the
already
sign.
happening, but getting there, but certainly.
Yeah.
and I know
Yeah.
like the dairy one, it shuts down at 9 or something. There's some agreement on, because they don't want the lights
Right.
all night. and-
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would appease some people.
yeah.
We'd lose that late night crowd, though.
I mean,
Yeah, there's not really
Last call.
anybody over that direction that it would shine on them, unless that new building goes in.
Or the inn,
Yeah.
I mean, depending on where it's faced.
Yeah.
Ah,
yeah.
But
It,
it'll-
it all depends on where it's facing.
But it has those options, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Right. And it does open the door for the town in general to be able to promote
Voting.
meetings, voting,
And
all that kind of stuff.
Upcoming work, road closures, my
Yeah.
brain
So
was
much,
already
yeah.
going crazy
Yeah,
with
it's, I
ideas.
mean, it
so.
could be a true bulletin board.
Asset, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
All right, anything else on that? All right, that's the last item, but, now that we're kind of regrouping, is there anything that anybody wants to make sure is sort of getting on the agendas over the next couple meetings as we're kind of regrouping here? And we want to find new members, yes? I mean, that's,
Yeah, every select board meeting, we try to advertise vacancies. That's a new
Okay.
thing. We're trying to do it every time.
I had someone, I don't know if she's put an application in yet, no?
I don't know those things until I see the packet on
Okay,
Friday
okay,
afternoon.
I'll follow up with her, she said she wanted to do it.
but ideally, we want 7, is that correct?
It's at my house, I'm sorry. I have it already printed out, the vacancies for my meeting Monday night, but I don't have it.
I'll double check with her and see
Okay.
if she's put an
It's
application
literally
in.
one click. If you go in the website, town website, under all boards, there's one tab that says all vacancies. And it
Okay.
literally lists every board and committee and vacancies and whether they're an alternate or not.
Okay.
We could put that on the new bulletin board.
We have to get it first. No,
Does
I'll
anybody
double
have
check.
anything that
I
we
don't
need to
have
kind of
anything
get
else,
back in the purview? Bruce, looks like you've got some
Yeah,
propaganda here.
we have fall art tour.
Fall Art Tour coming up. This is actually growing and growing and growing. November 2nd and 3rd, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 4. Exeter Fine Crafts, Pictures Worth, Windows on Water, SAA, Foundation Art Space, Seacoast Artists Association, Art by Alyssa, Avery Art.
Okay, even you're talking too fast for me. Did you say 10 to 4?
Yeah, 10 to 4
okay.
on,
Can I have one
Just
of
give her a
those?
brochure.
yeah.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. I just want to talk about it at the meeting. when I
Yep.
do my report.
So Diane Crespo Fine Art, who's a new business right on Front Street, across from
The post-
Post Office, Lamont Gallery at PEA, Art up Front Street, Exeter Station Studios,
That's-
Nicole Ellis, artist, Paige Lindsay, design. So it's 14 different studios and galleries, which is certainly a
Awesome.
big step
That
up
was one of
from
my questions.
where we were.
was if you guys had thought about doing something like this. Apparently you already had, so this is
Yeah,
great.
so,
Yeah,
we've
it's
been
awesome.
doing
I
it,
love
yeah.
how much it's grown too. It's,
Yeah.
it's such a,
Tony, put one up in your,
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's-
in your restaurant.
so,
check that list off.
Scott, I have a question for Dave.
yep.
Dave, so I know the Exeter Rec Department puts out a terrific calendar of events. What's the criteria for getting an event listed on that?
If someone were to be renting the town hall, art gallery, any of the facilities we have for rental,
Okay.
once we put them into our system, that is the calendar I think that you're referring to, is where you can see, oh, this date, someone's got the town hall rented.
But even, you put out, we've got softball or pickleball or,
Same system.
okay.
Yep, it's all through our registration software. And back in April or May, Marissa and Bob and I met, and we kind of talked about ideas on kind of like, if there's events going on in the art gallery. So we have the software in place where we'd be able to do that, and we could add a little bit more information. So a renter rents the town hall for the whole week, but only Friday and Saturday nights there's an event. We could have like that be public so people would know, but they still have the whole space reserved. So right now, I think you see it like, oh, the whole week it's rented, but we could fine tune it a little bit more.
Okay.
So it's more of a tool.
Yeah, yeah. So it's tied in its current state, it's tied into the actual
Reservation.
permitting. So even if it's like, rec soccer or something, that like certainly
Right.
people may want to know, but most
Yeah.
people that want to be there, they know about it. But that's populated in the calendar, just anything happening in town through Parks and Rec or anything. So
Right.
Bob sent me something, and I'll send it to everybody and get it in the, what's the best way to get, if there's an email that we want sort of in the packet or in the minutes or however that works, what's the best way to do that?
So for any packet,
Yeah.
you send it to Pam, and it
Okay.
has to be posted like the agenda, 24 hours before the meeting.
Okay.
But any email that you want to send to all of us.
Yep.
You just have to remind people in bold letters, do not reply to all.
Right, right,
Not to
right, right,
reply,
right,
this is
right.
informational only.
Right.
Because you can,
Okay.
like, email back and forth.
But so say Bob sends me something and is like, hey, here's good info for you guys. This is what Portsmouth is doing. Do I have to turn it into like a document or a PDF or something to send to Pam to get into the file or whatever, or can I just literally forward her the email and she's going
You
to?
can forward her the email.
Okay, all right.
Just keep in mind that if, not that if it's Bob, there's no email you'd want to black out, right?
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
But
with you. I mean, this is literally
So the
like-
idea of what you're saying and sending it to the rest of your committee would be so that you're not just handing things out that
Right.
night and expecting everyone to absorb everything and make a decision.
Right.
It's fine if you're gonna talk about it for the next 3 months, but
Okay.
not if it's something that you want to really discuss and maybe vote on in an upcoming meeting. The idea, though, is you just can't go back and forth with your ideas. Those
Right.
have to be shared.
so you can send
Understood.
it to us.
Right.
Right, but you
just to
guys
make
just
sure
can't
it's
go back and
in.
forth about it.
Right.
And we can
Gotcha.
respond to Scott, we just can't
You really
respond to
shouldn't.
all.
Unless
Oh,
you're
can't
looking
respond
for-
to him?
You really shouldn't.
Can't
I
say
mean-
thank you?
Yeah. Or tell me that you got
I mean,
leftovers
I'm
in the
sure he
fridge you want me to come
understands
get?
it.
Yeah.
I just recommend not.
Not doing, okay.
Just because, I mean,
Okay.
why
So,
take the chance?
to close that out, but I think it's finding the middle ground where there's the calendar that's populated with just tons of stuff.
Right.
Then there's a section on the town website that's events, but it's pretty much just like reoccurring annual events. So I think it's finding that sort of middle ground of like
Right.
community events that are, and how do we determine what makes it on that community calendar. Portsmouth does have something that, it spells out. It's more or less if it's happening on town, if it's related to town permitting and on town property, or if it's not, something that's like this, that's community backed, so.
You guys promote things all the time. What do you think the best resource is for people in Exeter that want to know what's going on? Where do you go? What's the best
I
bet?
mean, I don't
Facebook?
think there's one spot. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's a handful of different places, where you can find some things, but I still don't think, and we went through the whole thing before with
Yeah.
the things to do, which I still think is great. It's just a matter of what's economical and sustainable and all that. So I think,
Well, I subscribe to the Parks and Recs newsletter, and that's good. That's a good source of what's going on in town. That's really what I was focusing on, Dave, not necessarily the calendar, but the
our
newsletter.
emails.
And
Yes.
what qualifies it, or how do you get something mentioned in your newsletter?
It's really just, it's our programs and our
Okay.
events, or if we're partnering with someone, we would do that. People don't send us something and say, hey, can you share this? That doesn't really, it's gotta be like a town sponsored.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
but
So,
I,
you know,
Halloween
Can I
parade.
talk about this, and we can use this as an example?
yeah.
So is this an Arts and Culture Advisory Committee event?
Well, so.
Because you're not on here, and it
Right,
should be if
right,
you
right,
are.
right. So, but we had discussed and we voted and we presented to the select board that any event in Exeter that is related to anything that's been permitted or anything that involves nonprofit community and arts and culture organizations our mission is to help promote these
So
things.
that's what this is. You've
Yeah,
gathered upcoming events.
Yep.
And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I thought it
definitely.
was appropriate.
I love,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying
To promote
to
it, you know,
Yeah.
this is what's
I mean,
happening.
work with you on how to get this information out
Right,
there.
so we tried to kind of like say, hey, this is part of the mission, without us having to like stamp some sort of logo on anything or everything, just that, hey, if it's a community event and it involves arts and culture in town, then we're behind it and we want to see the town use any resources they can to help
So
promote
this is
it.
coming out before your next meeting.
Right,
And that's, I just wanted some background and
Right.
what your
I got you.
intentions were and things.
but I think this whole digital sign, I think this could be the kind of what we need.
I feel like it's what we
To
keep
pull
coming
it all
back
t-
to.
yeah,
From
pull
the
it-
very
pull it
first
all
meeting when we
together.
were talking about the website to the whatever, I feel like it's what we keep coming back to is what we can do as an advisory board is make sure people know what's going on and how do we best do that.
Right,
Yeah.
so maybe we can work with Parks and Rec, come up with parameters. Okay, what makes it on this sign is also what makes it on the town community calendar, I think it's all the same
Yeah.
system. It's just sort of something in between this handful of annual events that are already backed by the town on the town website, and then this calendar that's just anything that's permitted is thrown in there.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking, and it might be too late for this particular event, but tomorrow morning when I have my meeting, I'll talk with the chair of the select board and the town manager and see what the options are, what we can do with this on a short-term notice.
Okay.
But in the future, what Exeter TV has been doing is interviewing department heads and committees.
Yep.
So if you have an idea, you could, as the chair, reach out. It could be any one of you, whoever decides to be the face. But as chair, you would reach out to Bob Gluck and say, hey, we pulled together this information about happenings in town. And if he can fit you into his, what is it called?
The bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Bi-weekly
yeah.
report, that's what he's trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
He's
And
trying
those,
to get
yeah, I mean,
more
those guys are great about.
community information
Yeah,
out
they're-
there.
yeah, they're great about
So,
finding
Like I said,
event.
it might be short notice at this point, but we can at least get a plan in place for next time and see what the options are between now and November 2nd.
Okay.
No, I was excited about this, that we have all these locations like right downtown here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
You know, it's
fantastic.
like, you know,
It literally was on my list to ask you if you got, what you guys have, if you have any plans or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
So-
It's great. Yeah,
All right.
thank you. Scott, I'll get back to you after I can talk to a few people. and
Okay.
At least give you a heads up of what I've learned.
All right.
Thoughts, okay?
Sounds good to me. All right. Anybody have anything else? All right, so what do I need now? A motion to end this thing?
Yeah.
Move.
Make a
favor?
Motion
motion
to
to
adjourn?
end the meeting. I make a motion.
Oh,
Next meeting,
uh,
you're gonna have a meeting
is
November 22nd.
November 26th, 6:30 PM.
days.
Yeah, let's
2 days.
not do it on Thanksgiving. Oh, okay.
Look,
Hopefully.
does that,
That's
We can talk
Tuesday of
about the
Thanksgiving.
hot
Tuesday.
bench being installed. and,
Yes. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I made the motion, somebody second it,
Second, I
please.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
tuning
you,
in
Nancy.
to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.